Hello and welcome back to Roll the Game. In my last video, I showed you a heavy apocalyptic doom and gloom game called Empire's End, which you see over there. And while many people really like that, today I decided let's go for something lighter and shorter, like Fit to Print. This is a game by Peter McPherson, published by AG and Flatout Games. It lasts about 15 to 30 minutes, it's for 1 to 6 players, and it starts around age 10. As usual, we'll first go through the game objective, then on the gameplay itself, and I'll give you some hints for the first game. Now, if you've never seen a video of mine so far, please go and subscribe to the channel so that you can also see when I upload newer videos in the future. But now, let's get into this game.
Rule the game.
Fit to Print is played in 3 rounds. Each round lasts between 3 and 5 minutes, during which you have to finish a puzzle. For each of these 3 puzzles, you'll get points, you'll add them all up, and whoever has the most points wins. However, you also have to collect money from advertisement. The person who has collected the least amount of money from advertisement will not be eligible to win the game. So you always have to get money from advertisement, but also a lot of points from very good articles. Now let's have a look at a board. This is an empty board on which you have to place your puzzle. For round 1, you'll just cover here the light area. Round 2, you'll add also here the shaded area. And round 3 is on the back, which is here the full area. I've already finished a puzzle for you here, and we'll go through the scoring now. At the end of each round, you'll score each person's board. You'll do this here with this scoring block. For each person, you will first check how well they did with articles. Articles are here, these tiles that I have here, that have pink, green, or blue color. The victory points are marked down here on the bottom. So this is 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. I'll put it down here. It goes on the Sunday column because that's the last puzzle, so I would have already finished Friday and Saturday. Next, we go to photos. Photos are these things here. These photos, they always check for adjacent other tiles, and only then they give you points. Here, you'll have to see if the adjacent tile has also this smiley face. It doesn't. So I don't get points here. Down here, it's if an adjacent tile is pink or a blue article. In fact, I actually have a pink and a blue article that's adjacent, is touching this tile. Can't be diagonal, but it needs to be touching orthogonally. So it's 2 points for this picture. And down here, it needs to be a blue or green tile, which I don't actually have. So I get only 2 points from this. The next is the centerpiece. The centerpiece is this one tile here that you have on every single one of your puzzles. There it actually says what you're going to score. In this case, I'll score 2 points. Plus, I will get another 2 points if I said layout first in this round. I won't tell you here why I would say layout. That will come in the gameplay section. But I'll write down the 2 points or 4 points, depending on how I did. Next, we're going to score the white space. To score this, we're going to look at every player's board, and we'll check who has the largest space that they couldn't fill with a tile. I have a bunch of empty spaces here, but my largest is 3. Whoever has the biggest white space did the worst in the puzzle, obviously, so that person gets a -1 point. Whoever's the smallest, largest empty space will get +3 points. They did the best. Everybody in between gets 1 point. Next, we check the mood of your page. For this, you check how many frowny faces you have. I got 2, 4, 6, 7. And you check how many smiley faces you have. I have 2, 3. You'll get the difference between yellow and blue as negative points. So in this case, I have 7 and 3. So it's a -4 that I'll get, and I'll write that down in the mood. Mood can only ever be negative. The best you can do is a 0. And then also leftovers, as you can see, it's also red. If you still have tiles here on your desk, and you'll see later why you would have tiles on your desk, then you get for each tile that's here a negative point. In my case, I don't have any, so I have a 0. You sum up all the points from that round, and that's your total for that round. And then you play the other 2 rounds, you'll add up those points, and you have that too. You see below here, the round adds. That's where you count the money. And so here you see these are the adds, the orange ones. And I'll get $3, $6, $9, $11, $12 for that round. You'll put that down here on this field. And you'll also add these numbers. As I said before, whoever has the most points at the end will win the game, unless that person has the least amount of ad money. If they have the least amount of ad money, they're not eligible to win this game. So the person with the second most points would win. And that's it. Now let's go and have a look on how to play this game. In Fit to Print, each round is played simultaneously by all players. You'll even have a timekeeping piece, that may be a smartphone, that may be a timer, whatever you have, that you set to a certain amount of time. If you're an expert, you might want to set the timer to 3 minutes. If you're a standard player, then you set it to 4 minutes. And if you're a beginner, maybe we start with 5 minutes. Before you get started, you'll take your starting tile, your centerpiece, and you place it somewhere on your board so that it touches here or covers this star. Now don't worry, during the game you'll be allowed to move this around, but you always have to cover the star somehow. So let's go ahead and start that timer for round 1. We're playing here on this Friday area. That's going to be our first puzzle. Timer's running. What we need to do is we first need to get our tiles. For this, you can only take one hand, whichever hand is your stronger one. You'll pick any tile you want, you turn it around, and you decide if you want to take that tile and use it on your puzzle. If you want to keep it, then you put it here on your desk. But you need to know that whatever goes on your desk cannot be taken away from your desk anymore. So whatever goes on your desk, you'll need to use later on to actually fill your puzzle with. If you don't want it, you put it back in the middle. If you put it back in the middle, of course, though, anybody can pick up these tiles now, and everybody sees whatever tile you've picked up. Nevertheless, I can go and pick up another one. It's another ad. Let's say I take this one. And I continue with these until I feel like now I have enough tiles. Once I feel like I'm good and I don't need any more tiles, I say layout. Now you need to know, once you say layout, you cannot get any more tiles. All you can use now for your puzzle are the tiles that are on your desk. You're allowed to bring your second hand to the table, and now with the second hand, you can first actually take off all these tiles, and you can start putting down the tiles here in your puzzle. Now there of course are some rules about what you can and what you can't do. For one, you can't put a tile outside of the area they're allowed to fill. So if I'm currently trying to fill out Friday, I can't put this pink one over here. It needs to be within the white space. Secondly, I am not allowed to put 2 articles next to each other if they have the same color. So 2 pink ones are not going to be allowed. The same actually with 2 ads. You can place them next to each other. Also, pictures, you can place 2 pictures next to each other. So you'll try to fit this. Nothing has to be adjacent. You can start wherever you want. Let me just finish some sort of puzzle here. This might not be the best puzzle I've ever made. And you'll actually see I didn't do so well because I have no space for this. Please note that I'm also not allowed to turn any piece another way. I can only ever place it in the right way. So if you have text, you need to be able to read the text. If you have a picture, of course, you need to be able to see the picture from below. If I can't fit it, because otherwise I would violate one of the different rules that I have here, that I couldn't place a photo next to another photo, I can also turn my tile around and put it somewhere. But again, the text needs to be in the right direction, so this wouldn't work. It would be too big anyway. This would work, but it doesn't fit properly. The issue is that if you turn a tile around, you just don't get any points. However, if you can't match it, if you can't fit it, it goes back on the desk and it will be a minus point at the end of the round. So I feel like I can't do much better than this. So now I can say print. If I'm the first one to say print, I'll pick up this tile. This is the first person to finish, and every finisher will then take one of these tiles up here. You see, we are playing a game with 4 players. That's why there are 4 of these up here. And once they're all gone, the round's finished. Alternatively, of course, when the time runs out, you're not allowed to place any tiles anymore. You'll still have to pick up one of those tokens as quickly as you can. Once everybody has gone to print, we go and check the board of the player to our left to make sure that they followed all the rules, that they don't have photos next to each other, no ads next to each other, and no articles of the same color next to each other. And of course, that the centerpiece is on the star that's somewhere below here. We'll then take the scoring pad, score for every single player. Then we'll take all the tiles that are on the puzzle, put them back in the middle, but make sure that you do not return the ones that are on your desk. Whatever is on your desk stays on your desk, and you're going to have to use it in the next round. You'll also put the centerpiece away. Then we take out as many centerpieces as we are players. And the person who finished the print before first, the one who has here the 1 token, will go ahead and pick the first centerpiece for their next print. Then, of course, the number 2 goes 3, and 4 just gets whatever is left over. Everybody has taken their pieces. We'll place it somewhere in the star for our next round. So now you see we can also go to the shaded area because we're doing round 2. So we'll start the timer again. We'll play our second round. We'll finish our second puzzle, tally up the score, do the same round 3, and then whoever has the most points wins the game, unless they don't have enough money from the ads. And that's already it. That's the game. Please note that this game has a bunch of variations of its game. There's a family mode, there's an advanced mode, and so on. There's also solo mode, of course. I will not explain all of these different modes in this video. For those, you'll have to go into the instructions and read up on them. Same actually for the 2-player modes. There, the scoring is a little bit different than for 3 to 6 players. And here are some hints for the first game. Of course, this is a puzzle game, so you'll try to make as nice a puzzle as you possibly can with as little white spaces as you possibly can. However, it doesn't really actually matter if you still have some white spaces left. At the end of each round, you'll only look at the largest of your white spaces that you have left. And this is a puzzle where it actually makes sense to reshuffle your puzzle, that at the end of the game you have all your white spaces distributed all over the place, as long as they're as small as possible. You can have 6 times 2 fields that are empty next somewhere on the board, as long as you don't have these 6 times 2 fields right next to each other, because then that will be 12 fields right next to each other. You will get definitely penalized for that. But if you're able to somehow distribute these fields all separately somewhere on the board, don't worry about it. It also really doesn't matter if you lose out on the white spaces, because as I mentioned in the game objective section, if you have the largest white space field somewhere, you get -1 points. That's the worst you can get. If you win it and you have the smallest of these white spaces, then you get +3 points. That's a difference of 4 points. That's not a big deal. What gives you the points are the articles. The articles have all the points on them, and you need to have as many of those as you possibly can. Now there, though, what you really have to watch out is that you don't get the mood wrong. If you have an imbalance of mood, which happened to me in the first round very often, that I had too many blues or too many yellows, that gives you a lot of minus points, and all the hard work you did to put all those articles in there, it's all wasted. So go for articles. Check the mood though, that the mood is really balanced. Photos, centerpiece, they're all a little bit of points here and there. It's not a big deal. Articles a big deal, mood's a big deal. And then of course you have to make sure that you have tons of ads. If you have all the articles, it's not worth anything if at the end of the game you don't have enough money from the ads. You can have as many points as you want to, you're not eligible to win. So the most important thing actually to have there is articles of different colors and ads. And the photos, you can use them as fillers. Now, of course, it's very tricky during the puzzles to get enough pieces and not get too many pieces on your desk so that you don't have any leftovers at the end of the game. That's something you'll have to learn. I personally would say you rather don't have too many tiles and then have some white spaces left instead of having a lot of leftovers that give you -1 point each. So I'd say go a little conservative on picking up tiles to put on the desk. It's tricky to really know how many to take, and sometimes it feels like you have too many already or you don't have enough. That's a feeling you're going to have, and the more you play it, the more you get used to how many tiles you should actually pick up. And that's it. That's Fit to Print, a short but sweet game. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. And next up, a very short section on how to set up this game. To set up the game, you'll dump out all the puzzle pieces here, face down, on the table, shuffle them. Then every player gets a player board where you start on this side here with Friday and Saturday, because Friday is your first round, Saturday is your second round. Everybody, of course, also gets a desk. You'll have to put it together before the game. That's where you can store all your tiles during the game. And then you put out the finishing tokens and you hand every player a starter tile. You'll see that's a starter tile because it has an S and it's start here. And you'll take that starting tile and put it somewhere on your board. Don't forget that you also need a smartphone or a timer to time each round. And once you have all these things, you're ready to go.